Well, a tough loss for the Pistons Saturday night, but how much more could you really ask for without four of our key players in the game? Hey, Pistons fans, welcome back to another episode of Pistons Daily, your go to podcast for daily Detroit Pistons content, game recaps, Coach T's keys, trade rumors, and real conversations about what's working and what's not with your favorite team, the Detroit Pistons. My name is Tony Nash, aka Coach T, and I'm your host. And if you love the Pistons like I do, you've come to the right place. We cover the Pistons every day right here on Pistons Daily. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're so close to 2,500 subscribers. So if you haven't done it already, head on over to our YouTube channel, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and make sure you share this with all your friends. Leave us a 5-star review, anything you could do to help support the podcast. We really, really appreciate it. So Saturday night, the Pistons came up against the Los Angeles Clippers, and missing Cade Cunningham, missing Jalen Duren, missing Tobias Harris and Isaiah Stewart, obviously three starters out and our sixth man really. And so coming up against a very hot Clippers team, one who beat us just a few weeks ago, not even a few weeks ago, where Kawhi dropped 55 on us. I was really worried about the game, obviously, but I love to see how our bench is going to step up. And the Clippers have won 8 of their last 10 games, and so they're on a heater right now. They're playing a lot better. However, they came up against the Pistons tonight, and our bench brigade, really, the guys who were out there. And I gotta say, I have really very little negative to say about the game. We did come up short. But for the third straight game, we held a good team, in the 90s, which in today's NBA is incredibly hard to do. I have to say, our defense has been so good lately, and Saturday night's game was no exception. The defense was unbelievable. Honestly, through 3.5 quarters, until really about the last 4 minutes of the game, I was enjoying myself. It was one of the most incredible games, one of the most fun games to watch all season. Seeing our guys, we forced 18 steals, just turnover after turnover, and then leading to fast breaks and dunks and some amazing plays. And we're going to get into all of the details of that game. But man, I thought it was so much fun to watch the hustle on that team. As a coach, I always tell my players, I do not coach effort. You got to bring effort on your own, and you just don't see that a lot in the NBA. And to watch the guys Saturday night just kill themselves, and the way they did, and to hold the Clippers to 98, and really they had the game. The Clippers didn't take their first lead until 2 minutes to go. We made some questionable coaching decisions, but how do you really know what to do in a game like that? I think the only thing you can do is you got to ride with the guys who are giving you the energy. And we made some substitutions towards the end that I wasn't real happy with. But I can't say that it was the right move, the wrong move. How do you know? You got guys that are really just untested in a lot of situations. But our first half defense was absolutely incredible. And then we came out sluggish in the second half. It was actually 2 minutes and 13 seconds into the second half before we scored a single point. The Clippers started on a 10-0 run, which I thought, okay, they're going to get back in this. And, they're going to maybe take us over here because, again, how much can you really expect from, guys who aren't used to playing in those kind of pressure situations? The Clippers have some phenomenal offensive players in James Harden and Kawhi Leonard. But even some of their other guys in that starting lineup are really good. Zubats was back. He's a great center. So how much can you really expect those guys to do? But, man, did they show out. And just to watch the energy was really, really, really fun to watch for me. Like I said, I love good defense, and I know some people would prefer high-scoring games, 130 to 125, lots of three-point shots, lots of dunks, and that can be entertaining. But to me, to watch guys just put their guts out on the floor, diving for loose balls, forcing turnovers, that is fun basketball to me. I enjoy watching that. And so Saturday night's game was a lot of fun to watch, and it was tough to see us lose. It broke my heart, honestly, because I wanted those young guys to recognize, like, hey, you put that kind of effort and you're going to win. And had we had just a little more offense, we would have been there. But again, you got two Hall of Famers that just kind of came through in the clutch. Watching Ron Holland in the third and fourth quarter just is a big reminder of why Ron Holland is so valuable to this team. I know a lot of people in the comments say get rid of Ron, or Ron gets out of control, or, they don't see the value in Ron. But if you can't see the value of Ron Holland's defense off the bench and the energy he gives, sometimes he just becomes the motor to our team. And you cannot teach that kind of hustle and effort. He really reminds me a little bit of like a Dennis Rodman type who, wasn't, known for his offense, but the energy he brought on the defensive end. Now, obviously, Rodman was a defender and a rebounder, and I'm not saying their games remind me, but their mentality and the way they approach it. And, of course, Rodman eventually worked himself into the starting lineup, and who knows if Ron will do that for our team. But it was fun to watch him. There was that one play in the fourth quarter where he had that dive for the ball. The ball got tipped loose, and he dove, stole it from a guy, and kind of threw it while he's on the ground. I think it was to maybe Javonte Green. I don't remember, but it ended up being a dunk. And just an incredible play. And then we had gone on a run. I think we went up 15. There was maybe 6 minutes to go in the game. And I thought, okay, we got control. We had all the momentum. We had all the energy. They call a timeout, the Clippers. And then we come back out without Tolu Smith or Ron Holland. And again, JB is an incredible coach. I hate to Monday morning quarterback him here. And so, I don't know if I would have done that in that situation. I think for me, you got a guy that's putting his body on the floor, and he's given us, I think he had 16 points. Most of them were in the third and fourth quarter. He's given you that kind of effort. I think you just let him go. And I think he went to more of an offensive lineup. He brought out Karis LeVert and Duncan Robinson, hoping to maybe get offense. But to me, when defense, we're with that lineup, we are not going to out-offense the Clippers. And so, in my opinion, you run with that hustle squad, and if the defense is what's getting the win for us, let those guys stay in there. Karis LeVert came in, and Duncan Robinson came in. Of course, Duncan Robinson had an incredible first half, couldn't miss, and then they just locked him down in the second half. So no issue with Duncan Robinson or even Karis LeVert in the game particularly. It's just those guys slow the game down a little bit, slow the momentum down. They're not the defensive stoppers that we had in the game. And so I think that was a wrong decision in hindsight, because the Clippers went on a 12-0 run, brought it to within 2 minutes. And then, of course, Paul Reed got that technical foul, which you could tell he felt horrible about. I hate seeing a player put his head down, but Paul Reed recognized what he did. He didn't have his best game of the year. Tolu Smith actually gave us an incredible game, but you could tell it hit Paul Reed hard. He put his head down immediately, and you could tell he recognized the gravity of that decision. And I like that JB didn't overreact, just kind of took his side. JB understands the moment, and he supported his guy, and even left him in the game. And then he missed 2 free throws. So tough finish there for B-Ball Paul, but I still love that guy. And then with 2 minutes exactly, the Clippers took their first lead, went up by 1 because of a free throw, and then we just never recovered. We ended up losing the game by 6. And I wanted to point out one thing, and I'm going to talk about Jaden Ivy here in a second, but Jaden Ivy was not good tonight. He was not good on Saturday. And I will tell you that I noticed at the end of the game, when it was the last minute and they showed the bench, everybody was standing up and Jaden Ivy was sitting down. And I don't know if you caught the interview before the game. He just doesn't seem like the same guy. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. I'm going to talk about Jaden Ivy here in a second. So I want to give a big shout out to Ron Holland. Big game for him. Tolu Smith, big game. Let me pull up the box score here. Just give me 1 second. So the Pistons, Duncan Robinson obviously had 20 points. He was 7 for 10, 5 for 7 from 3. He was on a heater. He couldn't be stopped in the first quarter especially, but they found a way to slow him down. Paul Reed only with 8 points tonight and 7 rebounds. So, again, that's not a terrible game for 22 minutes. I mean, it's still pretty solid, but 3 for 6. Made some crucial mistakes there at the end. Javonte Green, just a solid game. Got to start tonight. But I, his defense is just incredible. He missed a lot of open threes, but again, Jaden Ivy with 8 points, 20 minutes, 4 for 12, 0 for 5 from 3. We'll talk about him. Asar Thompson, again, not a big offensive night, but defensively was fantastic. And then Tolu Smith had 9 points and 14 rebounds, so almost had a double-double, but he was a big impact. And I hadn't seen Tolu Smith play a lot, but it just, again, shows the depth of this team that we have. And so he did well. Ron Holland on 25 minutes, 16 points, 6 for 15. He was only 1 for 7 from 3, but 6 rebounds, and he had a couple steals. Paul Reed with 5 steals, Javonte Green with 4 steals, Asar with 2, Tolu with 1, Ron Holland with 2, Karis LeVert with 2, Marcus Sasser with 1, Dennis Jenkins with 2. So 18 steals as a team, 6 blocks, incredible defense. You do not see teams forcing that many turnovers. Karis LeVert, he had 25 minutes for 23 minutes. For whatever reason, he had more minutes than Dennis Jenkins tonight. I don't think that was the right call. Every time Karis LeVert came in, our lead started to diminish. And go back and watch the game if you don't believe me. And I'm not blaming it on Karis. It's not his fault. But something is different when he's in the game. The chemistry is off. And, so what are we going to do with Karis? I don't know. And then Dennis Jenkins, just a solid, again, floor general, 10 points, 3 for 8 from the field. Hit some big shots down the stretch. Hit some big free throws. I really am a big fan of Dennis and what he does, and his confidence is through the roof. So overall, a good game. I mean, we responded well to a loss. Kawhi Leonard had 55 on us the last time we played him. We held him to 26, which is really not. I mean, it's still a great game, but 8 for 13. James Harden, we held him to 4 for 20. The defense on him was good, but still ended up with 19 points. John Collins was big for them. He had 25 with 5 threes, and those threes they were so timely, right? Just when it felt like the Pistons were pulling away, John Collins would hit a 3. I don't know how we left him open so many times. I realized we were throwing a lot of double teams at Harden and Kawhi, which you got to let other people beat you, right? So it's like picking your poison, and John Collins just had a game, and then Zubats had 17. So, we outscored their bench. Let me look at that number here, 36, 44, 55-9. We outscored their bench. And, of course, we had a lot of bench guys in the starting lineup. So it just is a reminder of the depth of this team. Tough to lose a game like that, but how do you walk away with that with any negativity? Holding a team like the Clippers in the 90s when they are an offensive powerhouse. We just needed a little bit more offense. We shot 8 for 35 from 3, so had just a couple more of those threes, wide open threes, gone in. It's a different game, and so hats off to our guys. Let's give them some love in the comments. I just think these guys played their guts out, and we came up short. But that puts us at 28-10. The good news is the Celtics also lost Saturday night. So it puts them back tied with New York. So we still have a 4-point cushion or 4-game cushion. And so let me know if you watched that game Saturday night. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts were about that defensive effort. To me, that is fun basketball to watch. It's just absolutely fun. I think I would enjoy watching that over, a high-scoring game anytime. Now, again, I've seen guys get on a heater from 3, like a big Steph Curry game, or guys get a lot of dunks. I enjoy that stuff, but the basketball lover in me enjoys watching a game with that kind of defensive effort. So I want to move on, talk a little bit about Jaden Ivy. If you've been watching the podcast, you know I've been really high on Jaden Ivy. I am a big Jaden Ivy fan. I've been a proponent of giving him more minutes and more opportunity. I was very critical of the fact that we limited his minutes for so long, And then when we brought him in, we were giving him like these 3-minute stints and not giving him opportunities. His numbers, his per 40 numbers were actually really good. His shooting percentage is really good. It still isn't terrible. It's actually still pretty good. But he just seems like a different player to me. And now his minutes restrictions are off. We've given him 2 starts in a row. Kind of his opportunity to show, like, let me have my big coming out moment, like Marcus Sasser has, and like Dennis Jenkins has, and like Paul Reed has, and some of these other guys. And he really just has not had that moment yet. And actually, there are times where it feels like he's really hurting us more than he's helping us. And I hate to say this because I love J.I. I have a couple of his jerseys. I almost bought a City Edition jersey of J.I. Just about 2 weeks ago, but I thought I'm going to hold off just in case we trade him. And I would love to see it work out, and I'm still hoping it does. I'm not quite ready to pull the plug yet because he is coming back from a broken leg, and that is a hard injury to overcome. And it's not even, to me, the fact that he's missing shots or he's turning the ball over. I mean, those things you can expect. It's just his confidence. His body language is different. If you saw him in the interview before the game on Saturday, he just seemed different. He says he's in a good place, but it really doesn't seem like it. When he comes off the court onto the bench, you can tell he looks a little frustrated. The guys are really trying to encourage him. As I mentioned at the end of the game Saturday night, the last minute, all the guys on the bench are standing up, watching free throws, getting hyped, and Ivy's just sitting there behind them all, just looks completely dejected, almost separated from the team. And man, it kills me because what he was doing before he got hurt was so good, but the Pistons have obviously continued to improve without him in the lineup, and so I don't know what the answer is. He said in an interview, I'm in a great space, obviously moving forward one day at a time, but my body feels good. And, one of the things I love about Jaden Ivy, he's a man of faith. I also am a man of faith, and so he gives glory to God. He's always got a good attitude. He's a high character, high integrity guy. He puts in the work. But listen, at this level in the NBA, everybody is ultra talented. The 15th guy on the bench is was the best player on a Division I college basketball team or a European team. I mean, like, the level of talent in the NBA is off the charts. So the guys that perform are not just because they're the most talented. When you get to the point where talent is just crazy good, the one thing that separates the Cade Cunninghams or the guys that can do it every night, the LeBron James, the Steph Currys, the guys I'm talking about, it's not just skill. And a lot of it is confidence. And when a player loses their confidence, that sometimes can happen from a coach, that sometimes can happen from a bad streak, that can happen from things happening in their life. There's a lot of different things that can cause a player to lose their confidence. And I don't know what. I think probably what's mostly to blame for Jaden Ivy is he sat out for so long, watched the team do really well, then he comes back, high anticipation, gets hurt again right in the preseason, then has to take another little bit of time off. The team goes off to this great start, 13-game win streak, and then he comes back, doesn't really seem to fit, kind of struggles initially, has some good moments here and there, but is not really having a big moment consistently, and that will mess with someone's confidence, and I think that's what's happened. When I coach, to me, more important than drawing up X's and O's, and more important than having the right game plan and strategy and really solid practices, all those things are important, but to me, finding a way to see how each player can contribute to the team and build their confidence up in the thing that's going to be the number one thing that's going to help them contribute. So with some guys, it's building up their confidence in their defensive ability or their rebounding or maybe just their team spirit. In some cases, you just don't have a lot of skill. And in some guys, it's their confidence to shoot the ball more or to take the right shots. And so to me, one of the challenges of coaching is not, again, just being able to draw it all up right, but to be able to find a way to pull the most out of every player that you have. And every player has to be coached differently. Some guys can take it when you get right in their face and you scream at them and you insult them and you question their masculinity and all of those things. Some guys love that and respond to it. And other guys, if you do that, you wreck them. And so Some guys have to be coached differently, and I don't know the answer to that with Jaden Ivy, but I know when I've had players that lose their confidence, that's a challenge. And sometimes it's something that only they can overcome. And so, the NBA is a competitive league, and I hate to see Jaden Ivy missing out on an opportunity to be with the Pistons as we approach the trade deadline. My fear is that he's becoming more and more of a consideration for a trade. And I really don't want to see it. I still don't know how he fits with the squad. Many times I've said he should be a starter. I've talked about my ideal starting five, and he's always on it. But I don't know. Man. It's just he's going to have to prove himself. At the end of the day, you have to perform. You have to be able to, get the job done. And it doesn't seem to me right now like Jaden Ivy is being able to do that. And his confidence just seems to be at an all-time low. So I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments. I know we got a lot of Jaden Ivy fans in the comments. I've seen a lot of you come to his defense, as I have many, many times. And I want to know if you're seeing the same thing I am. Do you see his confidence being low? Do you see that he's just struggling to find his place on this squad and second-guessing himself? You watch a guy like Dennis Jenkins come out there. There's no second-guessing himself. He's nothing but confidence. And the truth is, Jaden Ivy is probably a more skilled player than a Dennis Jenkins, but the separator right now between the two of them is he's just confident. He's very confident in himself and his ability, and Jaden Ivy had that last year. I think that Monty Williams definitely wrecked his confidence a little bit, but JB kind of built it back up, and we were starting to see why we drafted him, and, I feel like it's going away. So let me know your thoughts on that. Give me some comments to let me know what you're seeing and what we can do, what we can hope for with our guy Jaden Ivy, and let's hope, that he does well. Again, as a man of faith, I pray that he does well and finds a way. And his roots to Detroit, I'd love to see him stay here. I hate to see him get traded to a team that like a Brooklyn or Minnesota or some of these other trades that have been thrown out there. I hate to see that. I'd love to see him stay here in Detroit. And then, the Pistons don't play again until Thursday night against the Suns. And it's a much-needed break. We are banged up right now. We have 4 or 5 guys on the injured list. And hopefully everyone getting a rest, being able to kind of regroup as a team, have a couple of practices, and just kind of get, I think it's a perfect time for it. I hate the thought of not having Pistons basketball every night, but I'll still be here talking to you guys every day. But it's a much-needed break. I think this will give us a little bit of rest time, a little bit of time to get our minds back in the right place. Like I said, have some practices, get to work through some things, and hopefully figure out. We're just a few weeks away now, really, from the trade deadline, probably about a month away. And so we're going to start to see a lot of things happen. There's going to be a lot of rumors coming out. There's a couple that I'm going to talk about this week that include Jaren Jackson Jr. again. There's a lot still of talk about Michael Porter Jr. The Lauri Markkanen talk seemed to have subsided. Are we not so relieved? We just saw AD got hurt again. I saw a stat that showed since 2025, the guy's been injured like 25 times. I mean, I feel bad for the guy because he's a phenomenal talent, but man, I'm so glad that the Pistons aren't truly considering him because he is injured nonstop. So hopefully we get the rest we need, 4-game break, and come back Thursday night against a good Suns team, ready to go, and we're going to see our boy Devin Booker in action, which, I love Devin Booker. Who knows if we'll ever see him in a Pistons uniform, but let's get some rest for the Pistons. And then I want to respond to a comment that I had. It was maybe last Friday's episode from @DA Ambassador. And he's commented, or he or she has commented, I think it's a guy, has commented several times on the podcast, and normally good comments. And I thought this was a really good take, and I thought I would share it with you guys, and I would love to just give him a shout out. And if you know him, let him know that we shouted him out in this episode. And if you're watching DA Ambassador or DA Ambassador, I don't know how you say that. If you're watching, I appreciate the comment, appreciate the support. But Hero, I am a firm believer of, in quotes, it ain't broke. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. This current team has shown depth and can play defense, and it's only made us the number 1 seed in the East and the number 2 in the league. So pointing out that, we do have depth. I mean, Saturday night's game showed that a lot, because missing 3 starters and the 6th man and still almost get that win and to hold a team in the 90s, it does show our depth. And maybe we don't have like unlimited offensive depth, but we do have really deep defensive options. He said, what other GM in the league would tamper with that? Notice, whenever we have an injury, the answer is always on our bench. These guys really like each other and have created a brotherly bond. Give them a chance to prove themselves. If they fail, then we can make adjustments in the offseason. This experience means everything and also boost the team confidence. We talked about confidence earlier. And I have to say, I really like this comment. And there's a big part of me that says, you know what? Let's not do anything at the trade deadline. And I know people say, oh, other Detroit teams have failed to do that and we missed our window. But we're young. The future is very bright. We have so many guys that have incredible potential. I mean, even like you look at a guy like Tolu Smith, who came in, hadn't played much at all this year, and had 9 points, 14 rebounds against a really good team, against a very established center in Zubats. And then, like I said, over and over, we've seen guys just come in, Dennis Jenkins, Marcus Sasser, Ron Holland, Javonte Green, Jaden Ivy, Karis LeVert, all these guys come in and just have these huge moments for us. Not to mention Paul Reed, Bobby Klintman, all these different players that we have. And, there's a part of me that's like, hey, maybe the team doesn't make sense on paper. And I know we always want to win the championship every year. Is this team, as constructed, good enough with the defense-first mentality to pull off a championship? To pull off a finals appearance, because we're in a weak Eastern Conference this year? I don't know. I don't know that we are, but there's a part of me that's like, hey, let's try it out. Let's let this thing ride. Let's roll the dice. Let's run with these young guys. Let's build their confidence. Let's let them go through this experience. We see what the experience last year against the Knicks has done for our team this year. I think that really hardened a lot of these guys and, really has shaped their mentality. And so why not, as a thought, and I appreciate this comment because I've had this thought, myself, why not let this thing ride out for this year? Let's see how they do. Maybe we even get Marcus Sasser back this year, and that solves some of our shooting concerns. And let's see how it plays out. And maybe we shock the world. The 04 Pistons, nobody thought they had a chance. And I understand we got Rasheed at the trade deadline. It made a huge difference. But even when we made it to the finals against the Shaq Kobe Lakers, nobody thought we had a chance. The Pistons that won in, 88, 89, 90, 3 straight finals appearances, on paper did not make sense. We had one Hall of Famer, really, at that time, it looked like, in Isaiah Thomas. And Isaiah Thomas has the most wins against Bird, Magic, and Jordan when it counts, right? I mean, he's the only player, and the Pistons are the only team that beat those guys. And the team never really made sense on paper. And so there's a part of me that's like, hey, let's let this thing ride out. Let's see what these guys can do with the coaching staff believing in them. And let's see, and maybe they get all the way there and they shock the world. And maybe they have a disappointing loss, but we can always make moves in the offseason. And then maybe we have a better idea of what the championship makeup looks like. So I thought it was a good comment. It's a good conversation to have. I want to get people going in the comments. Let me know your thoughts about this. But I think it was a solid take from DA Ambassador, and so I appreciate the comment. If you're watching this, let me know what your thoughts are. And let's see. So I definitely don't think we should swing for the fences. I've talked about Trey Murphy. Trey Murphy is about the only player that I've seen that I feel like, okay, I could maybe get on board with that if the scenario was right. But I still don't know. I think, man, we're so deep and we have so many options, and it's this next man up mentality. And one of the things that's really hard to create in any sport, in any team, is chemistry. And this team has that. And so we've seen a lot of teams that have a lot of all-star players that just don't win because they lacked chemistry. And so this team has that. So there's part of me that's like, hey, let's let this thing ride out. But I want to hear from you. So that's all I got for you guys today. It's going to be a good week. I look forward to seeing maybe we get some inside looks at some practices and get some sound bites from the players to see how everyone's feeling. Hopefully by Thursday, everyone's ready to go. And we have a good win against the Suns. And then I think we got the Pacers on Saturday. So I'm supposed to be at both games. I have tickets to both. I don't know if I'm going to the Suns game yet. I might be skipping out on that one, but I'm definitely going to the Pacers game on Saturday night. So let me know your thoughts about us holding a team, the team's under 100, 3 straight games now. I want to hear your thoughts about Jaden Ivy. Where are we at with our guy? And how you guys feeling about him? What do we got to do as a team? It's easy to just say, well, trade him. But if you know who he is and you know his character and you know his ability, there's a propensity to want to see it work out for him. And then what are your thoughts about this comment by DM Ambassador about just letting this thing ride out and see how it goes? And let's go through the playoffs with Ivy and Sasser and, and Ron Holland and Green and all these guys. And, my opinion has been the one guy that I don't see helping us at all is LeVert. But, again, maybe we just let it ride. So love to hear from you guys again. We're so close to 2,500 subscribers. So please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Share this with all your friends, your Facebook groups, all the things. And let's keep growing this channel. And as always, Detroit basketball. Let's go, baby.